Hello, and welcome to the March edition of Tat With Me. I am so excited to have you here. It is March, so I am celebrating the St. Patrick's Day because of my Irish heritage. I am about 38% Irish, and I wanted to honor and celebrate St. Patrick's Day with this lovely necklace. So what I actually did was I made several shamrock or trefoil, actually they're trefoils, tatted, and I added jump rings to them, and then I added jump rings again to the chunky chain necklace. So let's go over what tools we need to make this project. We need the chunky chain. We need a clasp, which is a magnetic clasp. I need 6mm jump rings in gold, 4mm jump rings in gold. I need 2 flat nose pliers. And for the tatting aspect, I need a 5 tatting needle, a crochet hook, a small crochet hook. This one is 1.5mm. I need my choice of green thread, size 10. And this one is a variegated, but you can definitely go with a dark forest green or whatever green you want. And then of course our scissors and trusty glasses. Okay, now that we have that, I just wanted to also let you know that the design is from Lily Design number 205, and it's called Crochet, Knitting, and Tatting Edges. So this is a modification to the trefoil edging that they have in that book. Okay, let's get started. Let's get started with just a little bit of tatting tail, because it's such a small project that we don't need much yarn. So I'm not even going to say it's 12 inches. This is probably 6-8 inches. And I'm going to start tatting right here. So this pattern is a very easy pattern. It starts with 6 double stitches. There's 4, 5, and 6. That is our first half of our shamrock. We're going to add a decorative picot, so it can be like that. Usually what I do, I actually pull the picot out. There it is. That's plenty big. So I have 1. So I don't usually count the picot as being a stitch. It really is. But I just make I just count that full stitch as a full stitch and not a half of a stitch, which technically it is. It is a half a stitch and half a stitch on each side. Okay, so I'm gonna do 4 double stitches here. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do another picot, So this is a joining picot, so it can be a small one. Now, because my preference is I like to see the joining picots, so I'm just gonna make sure it's out enough to where I can see it. You can use a picot gauge if you want. So there is my first petal. I'm gonna close, and it's a ring. I'm gonna put my pinky down here. Let me zoom out a little bit for you. There we go. So here, I'm gonna catch the thread. Okay, and then again, I'm not gonna pull too tight because I do want it to be an oval. And there it is. And in order to keep it an oval, I'm gonna go into that stitch, the first stitch, under the stitch cap. Let me see it. Let me zoom in so you can see it. Make sure you can see it. Right there. And pull it through gently. Again, I tend to tat really tightly. So, and I am not going to reverse work, so you're not going to reverse work. And there's my joining picot that I'm going to use in just a moment. All right, so we got 2, and then I'm going to join into that joining picot. Just take your time here. There we go. And you can join it with a needle too, that's fine. See? And then you put it back on the needle. I was learning shuttle tatting last night, and that's not exactly how they do it. I was kind of surprised. They do an extra step. And I asked my instructor, I'm like, well, is that just because you need to tighten it? And she didn't know, so I'll just have to experiment and find out, won't I? So I have a 2 join and then 4. And then I'm gonna, my picot, this is my decorative picot, and this is actually where my jump ring is gonna go. So I'm gonna pull it out. There we go. Okay, there it is. So the jump ring will fit in there. Okay, so I have a stitch right there. Count that as a stitch. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I need a joining picot and 2. See, there you go. Okay. So then I would make a ring again. From back to front. And then I will place my needle under the first stitch cap. Okay. And then you may tie it at this point. You don't have to though. Okay, so let's do the last leaf. So go a little bit faster this time. Okay, there it is. So I have my 3 leaves, my shamrock, and I am going to make the stem now. So I'm still going to put my needle under the first stitch cap because it just stabilizes it more. And then in order to make the stem, I need to reverse work and do the chain. Reverse work, tie a knot. And then the stem is just six double crochet, or I'm sorry, not double crochets. The stem is just 6 double stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We would tie, we would pull through, close. You don't have to reverse work. I like to. I like how it looks. And then I would tie my knot. And then weave in your ends. And there's our shamrock. I am going to show you the finishing touches of my shamrock necklace. And it is St. Patrick's Day coming up. And because of our Irish heritage, I wanted to make something that would honor my Irish heritage. So I grabbed a chunky chain from my local yarn shop, and I decided to make a shamrock charm, or turn it into a shamrock charm. So the first thing I did was I weaved in the ends, and then I added at the top here of the shamrock, there's a picot, or a decorative picot. So I added I believe that's a 4mm jump ring. And I thought to myself, that's gonna be too small to connect right onto the chain. So the next thing I actually did was grab out some of my bigger jump rings. I think that might be a 6. And the next thing I did was I added the clasp. So I had this nice magnetic clasp that I added with the jumbo jump rings right there. And then I went on to add I think this is a 6, like I said, the 6mm jump ring to the shamrock and to the chain. And that's all you need to do. Just decide where you want to place them and add them to the necklace. Doubled it. And then probably what I'm going to do, oh, that's the smaller one. What I'm going to do is add, because I have 5 down here, I'm gonna add a couple up here, probably, to this chain, or to this doubled chain, and then maybe another 2 over here. So I am gonna make a few more shamrocks and then add them on.